I'm William Baxter.
And I'm Paul Bell.
And this is that retro review show. This is also a special retro review show as we are discussing the Star Wars Saga. Of course, we are Star Wars fans through and through.
Oh yeah.
And this is the special countdown to The Force Awakens. Enjoy. Alright, well, as you can tell, we're all Star Wars decked out. I have to say, most of this what used to be my collection. I still claim the Millennium Falcon. That is one of the greatest toys I've ever had.
You make the noises, don't you?
Yeah, no, it makes its own noises.
That doesn't stop you from going along with it.
Well, sometimes.
I mean, after all, you and McGregor would get carried away on the set and make the lightsaber noises. So, as a grown man and a Star Wars fan, you can't help but go along with stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I also real quick and everything, I want to thank Tom from Brooding Tom on YouTube for making letting us use this very special bust in our head and everything. Made of plaster. Yeah, made of plaster of Darth Maul. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive. I can never do this.
Yeah. It looks like it'd be just a genuine collectible.
Yeah, I mean it is really well done and everything. I want to again thank Tom. Just look on his YouTube channel, Brooding Tom, on YouTube.com. I'm sure he has a video of him actually making this, and he does a lot of how-to when it comes to plastering and molding, and he's really, really good. I've seen a lot of his work. Again, that's for you, Tom. I really appreciate this, you and your wife, Missy, for letting us use that right there. And let's get on with the show, shall we? I guess we're going to start in numerical order.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about right here Star Wars Episode 1: Phantom Menace. All right. Episode 1 came out in May of 1999. And I have to say, this was when it was announced back in '97 during the special edition releases of the original trilogy that we were going to get new Star Wars movies starting in 1999.
It was much anticipated. Much anticipated. Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, just like how you and I have been talking about Force Awakens and everything.
Yeah.
I have been, my friend, my brother's friend, Bobby Smith, and I, and my brother, would sit in my room and we would discuss Star Wars Episode 1 for hours. I had a subscription to Star Wars Insider.
Oh, there you go.
I had it for literally almost 2 years and everything, the subscription and everything. Right. And that's how I got my Episode 1 news and everything. I really wish YouTube was around then, because if I had the way to do it and everything, I would be doing this right here.
Well, hell, I mean, in '97, it was still pretty much like dial-up and stuff like that. It wasn't just get on and find whatever you wanted to know. Yeah. I mean, something that kids nowadays will never understand and never truly appreciate.
Yeah. But the thing is that this was the start of the prequel trilogy. Love it or hate it, and there's a lot of people that do hate it. But I have to say, as you can see, I've got the trilogy, the prequel trilogy. I've gotten the poster every year that it came out and everything. I managed to get all the posters for the prequel trilogy. You're wondering, why it's not in order and everything. It's because I had this one matted, and it hangs up in my kids' rooms, and I just ran out of money at the time to get the rest of them matted. But as I said, I got the poster to every one of them when they came out, and the soundtracks, and everything was just great. I have to say, I stood in line for Episode 1 for 6 hours with my brother and a few friends of ours. And we were close up the line, in the front of the line too.
Were you those guys that actually brought the lightsabers with you?
No, we didn't. We were thinking about it, but my stuff stayed in the case. And one of these days, hopefully, I'm going to. I'll get the pictures out and we can post them.
Oh, there you go.
I had a very large, good-sized Star Wars collection and everything. Within a year, I collected stuff from '95 up to 1999 and everything. And within a year's span, I managed to get this collection. I got real lucky and everything. But as I said,
commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment.
I mean, I wish I had my old video, because I actually videotaped my original camera. When I first got it, I videotaped my Star Wars collection on the wall. And I actually was able to...
Kind of like a fandom porn. You know? Look at all that. That's some hot business there, brother. Look at that.
No, I went and I took the soundtrack music and my video camera had a dubbing system next to it. And I was able to take the Star Wars music and put it right on there and everything. It was so sweet. I really wish I still had that footage, because it'd probably be the first thing put on YouTube, on this channel. So, but okay, let's get into it. Paul, what was your first time when you can remember your first memory of Star Wars? And by the way, you'll make me feel old. How old were you when Episode 1 came out?
Well, when they first started talking about it, it was 97, I was 7 years old. You know, and I was excited because I'd been introduced to the original.
I was about 20, 21.
I was introduced to the original trilogy at about 5 or so. I can remember watching, you know, A New Hope, and, you know, just, it was awe-inspiring. Even the fact that it was older, you know, these were films my parents saw when they were in their 20s, just looking at it, you know, even on a television, you know, VHS, if you're a kid, look it up. But it was amazing. The thought, you know, lightsabers, you know, all that, space, it was not like nothing I'd ever seen before. You know, an amazing trilogy, an amazing film, and when I heard they were coming out with this, you know, something brand new, it was Christmas every day you heard something about it as a kid. You know, you look forward to it. You know, you watch the original trilogy, you start to wonder how these characters got to where it was, hearing that the prequels were coming. That was it. I was hooked.
I mean, I can remember, you know, always wondering about the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah.
And imagining how that was going to be, imagining how the Emperor revealed himself, you know. And then that was something that, you know, was so anticipated about, you know, about Episode 1. You're going to start getting a lot of those answers. Granted, it gave you more questions than answers. But I have to say, you know, my first experience through Star Wars, I have to say, the old Valerie Theater in downtown Inverness, when it was running operational as a movie theater. I can remember seeing Star Wars, the first re-release.
Right.
Because I was, you know, in 1977, I was probably less than a year old, and my mom would tell me about her standing in line, because, you know, she was the one that got me into Star Wars and Star Trek and a lot of the science fiction and a lot of comic books and everything. But we went to go see one of the re-releases. I think it was I want to say it was the 1980 re-release of Star Wars, because Empire Strikes Back was coming out at the time. And I can remember, you know, VHS, you know, seeing Star Wars on VHS. VHS is the precursor to DVD, which is the precursor to Blu-ray, which is the precursor to video on demand.
This is just us explaining we're getting old.
Yeah. But, you know, that's where, you know, I got my exposure to Star Wars.
Yeah.
And you know, they didn't have them on TV all the time like they do now.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what made them special. And, you know, HBO and, you know, stuff like that would show, you know, and believe it or not, Empire Strikes Back is the least watched I've seen out of all the Star Wars films.
Really?
Even though it is my favorite. Because for some reason they show Empire, now they don't, you know, now it's all over the place. But back then, you know, in the 80s and everything, Empire Strikes Back was the least shown on TV.
Really?
But I don't know why. But I guess I don't know. I guess it was bad timing on TV. I don't know.
Possibly.
But it is, you know, that is my favorite. We'll get into that later. But let's go ahead and get into Episode 1. And what was your favorite parts about it? Everything. What was the memorable parts?
I mean, the most memorable parts. The whole film was just visually just really awesome. You know, if you grew up watching the original trilogy like I did, you know, you didn't see a lot of shine. You know, there wasn't a lot of shine to the vehicles, to the droids. It was all kind of, you know.
It was a used fit feature, like Lucas described.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, even just the opening, you know, to the film was just really cool.
It was weird seeing that title, Episode 1.
It was weird seeing that. I mean, you grew up watching 4, 5, and 6, and you knew obviously there were, you know, precursors, but it didn't occur to you. You know, this always kind of felt like, you know, number 4 instead of...
Yeah.
But I mean, the dual lightsaber is what sticks out in my mind first and foremost.
Especially when it came to the trailer.
Oh yeah.
I remember when the trailer came out for this and everything, that was a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the Star Wars Episode 1 trailer, Adam Sandler has a career. Because it came out for Waterboy.
Yep.
And Waterboy ended up becoming a really big hit. Crappy movie, like most of Sandler's movies, unfortunately. But not all of them, unless Drew Barrymore's in them, they're okay. But that,
Can you call it a Sandler movie if Drew Barrymore's in it? Because I don't think anybody sees Adam Sandler throughout the whole movie.
That's pretty sure,
Yeah, it's the bathroom break. Nope, she left screen. I'll be back.
But that's how it was. I mean, we didn't have the internet. You know? We had Entertainment Tonight, we had Access Hollywood at that time, and we also had a few other things that would actually show these Star Wars trailers. And that was a really big thing, you know, at the early of 1999.
Well, they also didn't have so much of these guest spots. You know, they have a lot of shows that are spin-off of, you know, late night talk shows, stuff like that. They just recently did something for that new Christmas movie that's coming out with Seth Rogen. And him and Anthony Mackie and Joseph Gordon-Levitt were on Lip Sync Battle, as I was hearing about it. And, you know, that was something you didn't get a lot of in the 90s. You know, if it wasn't on, you know, Letterman, Leno, something like that, you know, you didn't hear about it unless it was in a paper.
Yeah, I mean, and nowadays, you can, just click on YouTube and you can find the trailer.
Yeah.
But, because back then, it's either you go, if you're lucky that they show it on TV, or you go to the theaters and waste money. But,
just for that crappy movie you walk out of, you know?
Yeah.
Saw the previews, let's go.
So, but your favorite part in Episode 1?
Favorite part had to be the lightsaber duel between Qui-Gon, between Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, you know, facing off against Darth Maul. It was awesomely choreographed, you know, just really good.
The Jedi at their prime.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what everybody wanted to see.
It was really something you wanted to see, a dual lightsaber versus, you know, two Jedis with, you know, the single hilt classic lightsaber. You know, just visually, that was just amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole scene had you on the edge of your seat. The fact that it was going on at the same time as the Battle of Naboo, just excellent. That was the best part of the whole movie.
I mean, for me and everything, the pod racing scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that is some of Ben Burr's best sound design. Ben Burr is the guy who did all the sound work for the movies, from all the Star Wars movies. He came up with basically the voice for R2-D2, the breathing of Darth Vader, and the sounds that you all know and identify with anything that's Lucasfilm and everything, the punches and the screamings, you know, like when the stormtrooper falls over you. You know, it's the same screen. You'll just listen to all the movies that Lucas has done with Star Wars and the Indiana Jones movies and everything. And,
well, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he came up with a very impressive library of sound.
Oh, yeah.
But the pod racing, you know, it was just, you know, it was 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Lucas was doing a different style of filmmaking when it came to the other ones. You know, he wanted it to be different because it was a different trilogy and it was prequels, so they had the liberty of being different. And I just love the way that the progress, and, you know, I mean, you can tell that it was, back then you couldn't tell, you know, because it was very, you know, the techniques and the special effects were revolutionary and everything. And just the way they were, you know, the explosions, you know, they almost looked like models and everything, but they were done so wonderful, and the actions out of them and everything was just, as I said, just really out there, and I mean, you really enjoyed it, and you really got it was probably for me, the most enjoyable, other than, you know, Duel of the Fates and everything, the most enjoyable part of the
thing I like about the whole, you know, first movie, and, you know, a lot of people kind of bash it, but it was actually quite ingenious. The fact that it almost played completely to a younger audience.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the comic relief of Jar Jar Binks, you know, which many people put a pox on Jar Jar Binks, but, you know, as a kid, I cannot tell you how many people, you know,
especially the original trilogy fans.
You know, oh yeah.
They hated Jar Jar.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it's not getting what you're saying and everything, is that when George Lucas came up with the original trilogy, he had behind him, and a lot of kids back then in the 70s were they watched a lot of the old serial films
Yeah.
from the 1940s and early 1940s, late 1930s, the serials. And he also was able to use a lot of the old mythologies from stories of Beowulf, King Arthur and the Knights and the Round Table, and a lot of those old mythical stories and everything.
I think that's part of what grasped the audience. You know, it played to that, you know, almost philosophical bit of every person.
Mm-hmm. But when it came to the new trilogies and everything, George Lucas, who was, you know, he did a lot of, he took psychology in school and everything. One of the things that, you know, he probably realized was, and I'm sure it's probably what, you know, a lot of the Star Wars, older Star Wars fans who were, you know, adults at the time didn't understand, is that, you know, he looked at it as psychological profiles that kids nowadays were looking at shows like Beavis and Butthead, Rugrats, and you know, South Park, and you know, SpongeBob SquarePants, and that was the type of thing. You know, a lot of kids didn't understand the old, you know, mythologies, poems, and everything of Greek times, or you know,
it's not even so much the whole mythology, the whole way it was done. The fact that, you know, in the original trilogy, Stormtroopers, you didn't get to see them as people because they were in armor, but you knew there was a man in a suit.
Yeah.
You know, in Episode 1, you had droid armies. You know, you knew these were robots.
Yeah, and they were disposable.
Yeah, as a kid, you don't feel any emotion towards a robot being cut down, but, you know, a Stormtrooper, you might think a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, that playing, you know, Jar Jar Binks, kind of the comic relief, the fact that some of the droids were just, their programmers should have been shot because there was no reason they should have been.
But again, that goes towards, you know, the way they animated, you know, when kids were watching cartoons and everything, and what kids that at that time were watching and everything, and he knew, well, the kids are going to want, you know, that's probably what the kids like and everything, and I'm going to do that, and everything. That's my good George Lucas.
There you go.
But you know, that's probably what he was thinking, and that's how he made and molded, you know, some of the characters for this new trilogy and everything. Granted, you know, Jar Jar Binks wasn't my favorite character. You know, I mean, if he made him a little more tougher, a little clumsy, but he didn't have to be that freaking SpongeBob funny.
He was pretty much carried through the entire movie, you know, protected, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think he could have been a little bit more of a braver warrior and everything that just had a problem with being clumsy.
He didn't have so much a lack of bravery. I think we all remember him trying to use that sling. That was...
Yeah. I mean, there's some things, you know, and I watched this movie 4 times in theaters.
Right.
And, you know, and I saw the faults of it and everything, but, you know, I was going to look past that because it was a new Star Wars movie, and I was happy that new Star Wars movies were coming out. But yeah, you know, if you watch movies like People versus George Lucas, and there's some other, you know, reviews out there on episode 1 and everything, there is just a humongous amount of hatred towards these trilogies, towards this prequel trilogy.
And it almost gets worse as the prequel trilogy goes on.
Yeah.
We'll get to that later.
Oh yeah.
But
my favorite, as I said, you know, my favorite moments basically was, you know, the pod racing scene.
Yeah.
And I thoroughly enjoyed that and everything. And, you know, this, you know, some of the, you know, battles up in, you know, the command ship and everything, which was a precursor to the Death Star in episode 4. But, you know, the thing that I didn't understand was, you know, I felt that Anakin should have been a little older instead of 9 years old. Because I don't think, you know...
I think it was as simple as, you know, them trying to get the same age demographic as the new audience coming to it, as well as making sure that they had a character young enough that, you know, if time went on, you know, so long between the 2, you know, films, they had that to play with.
Yeah.
You know, if they committed to an older character, you know, he was 12 at the time, you know, just progression-wise.
Yeah, I mean, they eventually didn't use Jake Lloyd again and everything, and if you look on YouTube, you can tell that Jake Lloyd's had not the best of luck of the past almost 20 years, which is hard to believe that in 4 more years, episode 1's going to be 20 years old.
Yeah.
And, you know, the funny thing is about episode 1, in the year 1999 that it came out and everything, the same year my wife and I got together. We had actually met back in 97 when I think episode 97 or 98 I think is when we met and everything. And so Star Wars has been forced in her life. I'm sure she's
using the Force to force Star Wars in her life.
I mean, and I forced her to go see episode 2 with me and everything, well, you know, but you know, as I said, you know, when it comes down to it, when I haven't seen the last Hobbit movie, but as a friend, a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I can tell and feel how the original Star Wars, you know, the fans that hate this prequel trilogy feels the way I feel towards the Hobbit trilogy. Because, I mean, as I said, I haven't seen Battle of the Armies, and, you know, probably eventually will later on in life, you know, talk about those.
Yeah,
but
we're finally putting it down, you know, this is all we can do with it.
But, and of course, there's a new video out there of Peter Jackson talking about the problems. He's basically, in some ways, apologizing on the Hobbit trilogy and everything, but, well, that's a story for another time. And you can see that video on YouTube. But I have to say, episode 1, I recommend, when it comes to anybody, I remember one of our co-workers, Bryce, he said he wanted to introduce his girlfriend, Irelis, to the new Star Wars trilogy.
Right.
Or he wanted to introduce him to the Star Wars movies. She's never seen them before. And he said, should I start with the original trilogy? I go, well, I would just expose her to all of them.
Yeah.
But you know, if you really want to, the best way to do is to introduce her to the original trilogy, and then break them into the prequel trilogy and everything, and have her, you know, decide on that. But you know what? If it comes down to it, when it comes to a story, which this is a long story, that you should start off with the beginning. Yeah. As hard as it is. But if, you know...
I don't think it's as hard for people that didn't grow up with the original trilogy. I mean, my nephew, perfect example, Wyatt is a Star Wars fan. And very few things can hold his attention for a long time. You know, I think it's almost like the colors and just the action going on at the time just really helps him. But he saw the original trilogy, and while he showed interest, you know, it was mostly during the high points, you know. When I showed him the original trilogy, and I almost feel like it's blasphemy me saying this, but he actually prefers the prequels to the original.
Well, my kids were like that. You know, my kids, you know, they like them because they don't understand. As you said, you know, they grew up with it all.
Right.
They're one of the lucky ones. They grew up with it all.
They can appreciate it as a collective work. They don't, you know, pick it apart as much.
And that's, you know, that's great for this generation and everything. My son loves episode 2.
That hurt a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it hurt really bad over my groin area. But yeah, you know, it's multi-generation. Yeah. And you know, it's you know, it's like whose favorite Bond do you like? Each generation grew up with a different Bond. Yeah. But I would, I have to say, I highly recommend still to start. If you've never watched a Star Wars movie, just start with episode 1.
If you start that way, it answers some questions. You know, once you do get to the original trilogy, I mean, that was, I think, one of the things that really drew people to the prequels was the fact that it was going to answer the questions we all had at the end of the original trilogy.
I mean, and what really grounded this movie was that, you know, the acting was a little flat, but it was Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah. He really grounded this movie because he's a really good actor. Ewan McGregor, you know, he had some time to start letting up. And Natalie Portman, she was about 12 at the time. You know, she was still honing her skills and everything. To, you know, eventually she would win an Oscar. But you know, and it was pretty good. You know, it was great to see some of everybody else come back and everything. Kenny Baker, Anthony Daniels came back. You found out that it was Anakin that built C-3PO. A lot of people really hated that. Yeah. But and then, you know, you find out that Palpatine, you know, was a senator from Naboo, and Ray Park, you know, though his voice was dubbed in the movie and everything, just to see his physical manifestation of Darth Maul and the way he was able to do all these stunts and everything. Because Ray Park's the type of guy that can stand still and then be able to do a backflip. You know,
that was one of the great things about the duel. You know, I mean, just the way he could physically move, it made it look better that he was taking on too.
Yeah, and to see Sam Jackson, you know, and the Jedi Council, see the Jedi in all their glory and everything. at the height of their existence and everything, to see Yoda. Even though I'm glad that they did kind of digitize Yoda in the Blu-ray versions.
The only way they could really make him look better than they did.
Because the original release, he didn't look like Yoda.
He was rough. He looked like Yoda had HIV. It was rough.
But but yet, they did eventually, Lucas torqued up a little bit when it came to Episode 1 during its initial DVD, VHS release, and then when they finally came back out on Blu-ray and everything, he tweaked it some more and he digitized Yoda in the movie itself. So, but I have to say, Episode 1, it's not a bad film. It's not the best film, but it's not a bad film. It's a great way to start off watching Star Wars.
If you take the movie as a whole, it's a good film.
Yeah.
You take away from it the story, the characters, being able to see them, in their prime, if you will. That's what makes the movie. Nitpicking it apart, little bits, it'll ruin any movie.
Yeah, any movie. Exactly. Well, that's all the time we got for now. Remember, this is a 6-part episode.
Yep.
Again, also I also went around and asked people what was their favorite Star Wars moment and their favorite moments in Star Wars and everything. So check out this part, and we'll get back to you real quick.
My favorite part in Star Wars Episode 5 and Episode 3 all 2, all 2, Dragon 3PO and the Met. And that's good. That review show.
I love Star Wars my whole life, but I don't like just one scene in the movie. I like the whole entire freaking thing! Enough said, and it's awesome.
My earliest memories of Star Wars is being sitting in front of the TV on like just a regular old weekend, and my brother would come in and he'd like look right, got it from my friends some days because we got the trilogy VHS of the new, like the Old Hope, the new Old Hope.
Yeah.
Messed up. Yeah, the Old Hope, and he'd be like, do you know what Star Wars is? I was like, no, and I was like, I was always into cartoons, so he was like, if you like cartoons, then I'm sure you'll like these. It's kind of like superheroes, just like in a different way. So like, okay, so I took a shot at it. I was a skeptic at first because I really didn't understand what was going on, me being at such a young age. But like my memories consist of like the chase of Endor and like the Death Star and Sidious and the classic Vader. My favorite moments of Star Wars is in the prequels. Ironically enough, when Obi-Wan, he's always been my favorite, and. But my favorite of all time scene is when him and Anakin went at it, and I teared up. It was funny. Whenever he's like, "You're my brother," and I was like, "No," but yeah, Star Wars overall is like one of the best things that have ever happened to the film industry, and I really enjoy it, and everyone else will, especially with this new movie coming up. I'm sure it's gonna live up to the hype, and seeing Han Solo and Padme, not Padme, Layla. It's gonna be fantastic. But in closing, I'd say if you're a fan of any of the movies and any spotlight of it, I recommend it to anybody.
Okay. Well, there was some exciting little moments for people around, that are Star Wars fan. Again, keep watching. This is a 6-part episode, and we'll be running this throughout here through the month of November up to the point of Episode 7, The Force Awakens. We're going to probably do, hopefully, have time to do a pre-show type of thing. Yeah. And then you're going to probably have your video phone ready while you're standing in line. You got advance tickets.
I'm hoping to get some good shots of the line going. I'm sure it'll be mobbed. I figure I'll have to probably get there.
You're going to see it in 3D though, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'll probably see it the day after that and everything, but he and I will be doing together a Star Wars review for Episode 7, and then my kids
do our
too.
best to limit spoilers on it, that way for people that didn't see it, out of respect.
Yeah, and then my kids will have their little review. So, again, keep watching, and thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.